Welcome. Today I will be paraphrasing, summarizing, and sharing on the December 28th Al-Anon readings in Courage to Change and a Little Time for Myself. We'll begin with the Serenity Prayer in 3 mindful breaths. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. We'll begin with a little time for myself. I will just take a moment to read the page. The question of the day is, how do I set boundaries today? This reading is specifically talking about boundaries as they pertain to sex, which is a very common issue in Al-Anon because alcoholism and other forms of substance abuse can often lead to breaches of boundaries when it comes to physical contact. So this passage starts off with this person at one point using sex to control others. And then it goes on to say that eventually the person decided to stop having sex altogether. And unfortunately, they had a partner who was very inappropriate and mistreated this person. But then it goes on to say that in Al-Anon, this person is learning that their boundaries are important and there are people who will respect their boundaries. Practicing Al-Anon principles, now this person is using sex as another way of communicating with their partner lovingly. Today's reminder talks about caring for ourselves in all areas of our lives using boundaries. And the quote is from Intimacy in Alcoholic Relationships. And it says, the more we focus on ourselves and love ourselves, the better we're able to give and receive love. So how do I set my boundaries today? So, because the passage was about sex, I will address that. And I have no current issues at all with people not respecting my boundaries in that way. I did have an experience as a teenager with my stepfather at the time, who made me feel very, very uncomfortable. That was a very unhappy period in my life, and I It took me many years to just understand that he was confused and he just did something inappropriate. And so that's how I moved on from that. And it's been a very long time. It's been a very, very long time. It's been 40 years. 40 years. So, but how do I set boundaries today? I set boundaries in so many ways, so many ways. Not overscheduling myself, not feeling or navigating the feeling that I'm being pressured into doing things that I don't want to do. As far as, this is going to sound so silly, but at this point in my life, it has to do with um, eating and drinking. I don't drink alcohol. I've never been a big drinker, but I'm kind of realizing that like I don't need it at all. And that can be strange in, social situations because a lot of people drink. But there are some who don't. And the truth is, it's nobody's business. None of it is anybody's, like, what I drink, what I eat is nobody's business. And what other people eat and drink is none of my business. But also, I've said before that I'm a vegetarian. I'm also um, in a phase in my life where I'm realizing that certain categories of food don't benefit me, so I just don't eat them. But again, it's very, it really challenges my self-esteem, my feelings of self-worth to just like not make a big deal out of it and just like go on with my life and enjoy time with people that I care about and not focusing on like what I don't want to eat or drink. That sounds so simple, but it tends to be more of an issue because for a long time I loved eating dessert. I loved sugar. I loved all things sweet. And I'm just at the point now where I'm realizing that like I don't need that. It doesn't have the same appeal to me as it used to. So people are confused. It kind of reminds me of when um, I first came to Al-Anon and I started setting boundaries just in my everyday life, like saying no. Like Al-Anon taught me how to say no. And it was a really big deal because I think that the people closest to me didn't really, like, it was an adjustment, I think, for them because I felt it. Whether that was real or not, I don't know, but it made me feel kind of like, I might be rejected. But ultimately, if I can feel peaceful and serene about it, I know I'm doing the right thing for myself. And my point of view at this point in time is that as long as I'm looking out for myself and being loving and compassionate to others, then whatever someone's reaction is up to them, and I can't control it. So boundaries are essential to my well-being, and I set them. How do I set my boundaries today? I set them by doing what feels right to me. When I pray, when I meditate, when I think about it in a peaceful way, if it feels good and it feels right, then that's how I set my boundary. And again, a boundary is flexible. It's not a wall. It's a flexible boundary. And I'm changing all the time, so the boundaries may change a little bit here and there. And I try not to take it all like too seriously. Yeah. I'm just thinking of, some of the reactions I get, and it's like I try to just say, look, it's not a big deal. Like, if I don't want it, I'm just not going to have it. Like, period. Let's go on with our lives, please. How about you? How do you set your boundaries today? Love boundaries. Oh my gosh. And I owe it all to Al-Anon. Every single bit of it. I had no idea what boundaries were. And when I knew what they were, I certainly didn't think that I was worthy of having them. So it was all my work in Al-Anon that helped me with all of that stuff. All right, moving on. I'm going to take a minute to look this over. Beautiful. This is really about sponsorship, but it starts off by saying that when we come to Al Anon, many of us yearn for a loving relationship. And we have, many of us have had experiences where we may find it difficult to get close with people. So, Al Anon has a solution to this, and it is called sponsorship. It's it's an amazing feeling when someone uh, proves to us that they can be trusted. They take our calls, they return our calls, they seem to truly care about us. They listen to us, they support us, they they're a source that we can rely on. I know that when I contact my sponsor will get back to me as soon as they can. Demonstrates unconditional love. And while still taking care of themselves, they're very good role models. That is truly my experience. But first, I'm going to go summarize today's reminder. It says that being close with someone is a true gift, and Al-Anon can help us find that kind of relationship. And the quote is from Sponsorship. What it's all about. Yes, and it's true. Sponsor and sponsored both are nourished in that relationship. It took me, I don't know, maybe a year, maybe, I don't know how long it took before I had the courage to ask someone to sponsor me. And I actually, because I had been to so many meetings and we had talked about sponsorship on a pretty regular basis, I understood intellectually that it was not a rejection if the first person I asked to be my sponsor was unable to do it. So I made a list of 3 people, and that was where I began. I asked number 1 first, and number 1 is actually my sponsor to this day. But I had that list because I know that, and even my sponsor sponsors several people. So I set a limit. I'm actually at my limit of how many people I will sponsor. And that's why someone may say, I'm sorry, but I'm not available to be a sponsor right now. It has nothing to do with the person who's asking. It just has to do with setting boundaries that are appropriate for the person who's being asked. Nobody in Al-Anon should take on something that uh, they do not feel is uh, within a comfortable range for them. If you only want to sponsor one person at a time, 2 people, then that's up to you. And that's why someone may not be able to be your sponsor if you ask them. There could be lots of reasons why someone can't be your sponsor. That's why it's important it was important for me to just have a list and to know who to ask next. And when I tell you that my sponsor knows everything about me, I am not kidding you. My sponsor knows everything about me, and my sponsor loves me and accepts me exactly as I am. And that is an immense gift that no amount of money can buy. That is life-changing, absolutely life-changing, to know that someone knows everything, all my deepest, darkest secrets, and still thinks I'm worthy of love. That really changed my life. I don't see how that can't change everyone's life. To be in that kind of relationship, I feel like just improves a person's life immeasurably. And I don't feel like I'm exaggerating. I feel like I truly feel like everyone just wants to be accepted and loved. Period. And I feel like if everyone did feel accepted and loved, it would be the world that we live in would be a much more harmonious place. But all I can control is my little space, which is whatever I can reach with a hula hoop, they say in Al-Anon. You put a hula hoop over you, that's the space that's in your control. So I just try to be loving and accepting. And I find that when I do that, I'm more likely to be treated that way, which is very nice. So we'll close out with the serenity prayer and 3 mindful breaths. Here we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Sending you love. Take care.